I'm AP Townley, and this is Roleplay Culture. If you've been trolling around the internet, YouTube, social media, or whatever, you may have heard of a little something called Baldur's Gate 3, a video game set in the Forgotten Realms world of Toril, a D&D campaign setting. And just like D&D, it follows many of the same rules and concepts. Honestly, fantastic game, whole lot of fun. But if you're thinking about getting into the game, or have only just purchased it, and want a little spoiler-free advice to make your experience a little more fun, well, here at RPC, we're here to help. And if you've had the game for a while and are maybe starting a second playthrough and want some advice on what to do differently, I think we can help with that too. So here are some tips on making the most out of your game of Baldur's Gate 3. We'll try our utmost to remain as spoiler-free as possible. I don't want to ruin anyone's fun. Number 1, ability scores. When you first make your character, you're going to need to set your ability scores, or your stats. The game can auto-generate them, and you can adjust them to your liking. One of the pitfalls of this is too many odd number ability scores. You see, your ability score by itself doesn't really matter, for the most part. It's the modifier that gets used. Using this chart, we can see that only even numbers increase the modifier that actually gets used in rolls. A 12 in strength gives a +1 in strength checks with melee attack rolls and saving throws, but a 13 also only gives a +1. Every 4 levels in a class, you will get the opportunity to increase 2 of your ability scores by 1, or 1 by 2, or 1 ability score by 1 plus some added benefits. Unless you have plans to increase ability score, especially an ability score that doesn't have much to do with your class, like an intelligence on a cleric, then it's more efficient to have even numbers on your stats. You need to watch out for that for your companions as well. BG3 loves giving a whole bunch of odd number ability scores that just aren't all that useful to them. You'll have the ability to visit an NPC named Withers a little later in the game that can change those stats for 100 gold, so it's not a problem you can't fix. Number 2, choosing your character. Here comes a big question. Do you make your own character, or do you use one of the built-in companions or origin characters that the game has for you? These companions have backstories and quests spread throughout the game and are a lot of fun and very interesting. But playing as one of them isn't necessary to experience that, as you can have an adventuring party up to 4. So you'll be able to experience most of the origin character stories as they make up most of your adventuring party. Unfortunately, there are 6 companions, and even if you play as one, that still leaves 2 out. Now, you can switch between these characters without any real issue, but not having the right character in the right place can cause you to miss out a little. Of course, there will be other characters that you can convince to join your team later in the game, and if you don't want to deal with all that drama from the companions, and I promise, there's a lot of drama, you can just hire mercenaries. Now, I said there's 6 companions. Karlach the Tiefling Barbarian, Lae'zel the Githyanki Fighter, Shadowheart the Half-Elf Cleric, Gale the Human Wizard, and Will the Human Warlock. And finally, the fanciest rogue in all the land, Astarion the Elven Vampire something or another. And to be clear, if you choose one of these characters, you can change aspects of their character when you find that certain NPC, like optimizing their ability score allotment, and of course, you choose how they level up. So 6 companions. Well, not exactly. There is another. A dragonborn sorcerer known as the Dark Urge, which is a name that really inspires confidence. This amnesiac and dark character offers a very unique experience. I say dragonborn sorcerer, but unlike the other origin characters, you can change every aspect of this character at creation, except its background. Whatever class you want, whatever race you want, choosing your skills, spells, ability scores. They're stuck with the Haunted One background, which gives proficiency in medicine and intimidation, so be aware of that. So what's so special about this particular character? The thing is, unlike other origin characters like Shadowheart and Karlach, who you'll find along the way in the wilds of Faerun, and can convince to join your party, you will never find the Dark Urge. The only way to experience their story is to play them as a character. You will not find them running around like all the others. And it is quite the story. It's dark and mysterious. It's a story that best ties the other Baldur's Gate games to this one. Be aware, with this character in the pilot seat, you are in for a very shocking, twisting, and dark ride. So if that isn't your thing, maybe choose something else. But I highly urge you to give this character a try. If not on your first playthrough, then on your second at least. It makes for a very unique story. Number 3, character class. The character class you pick will make up the majority of what your character is capable of. Let's be clear, if you have a fantasy of what you want to play, such as being a problem-solving wizard or a sneaky rogue that's trying to lone wolf their way through the game, then go for it. Don't let anything here dissuade you from what you want to play. But if you're unsure where to start, let us make a suggestion. Playing a character with a high charisma is going to benefit you so much through the game. It will help preserve your party, as well as get you information and open up quests. So what classes want a high charisma? The Warlock, which you can play as Will if you wanted. A Sorcerer, so the Dark Urge is suggested as that, though again, you can change it if you wanted. A Bard, my personal favorite. Or a Paladin if you really want to explore your main character syndrome. Just make sure you get yourself proficiency with charisma skills, either through your class or your background, especially the persuasion skill. We've talked about this before on this channel, but I can't reiterate it enough. Charisma checks, especially persuasion checks, are so very important. There are times when you might need to talk your own party members out of killing each other, like literally killing each other. Or sometimes even you. No resurrection, permanently gone. You really want a character who can do some talky-talky. You can rely on one of your companions to do this for you, maybe like Will with being a warlock. But most of the time, you'll be piloting your own character, with the others following along. And you won't always have the opportunity to switch to your suave partner to do the talking for you. The game just doesn't always allow that. There is an argument to be made that the main character have a high wisdom score so that they'll be in the front to spot traps and hidden stashes, which is good advice. Just make sure that character has proficiency and perception skills. Shadowheart the Cleric, good contender for this. But as a side note, the game tells you when you fail a perception check. So you can stop your movement, have Shadowheart cast guidance on herself, boosting her rolls, and then move her forward, triggering her own perception check. You just need to be quick on the controls. You should also have someone with sleight of hand as a skill, along with a good supply of lockpicks and disarm traps, but that someone need not be you. You can usually just command another character forward to pick those locks and disarm those traps at your leisure. Number 4, bring your own arrows. No, you don't need to keep track of ammunition in this game. Thank the absolute. But you will run across, fairly often I'll say, specialized arrows. They come in 2 groups. The first, and the broadest in type, are, let's call them elemental arrows. Fire arrows will do a little extra fire damage and set things on fire. Acid arrows that will do a little extra acid damage and lower target AC by 2. All the way to some really weird arrows, like the salving arrow that can heal your targets. Teleportation arrows that will teleport you to where you fired. And darkness arrows that create a cloud of darkness. Not the most original name, I know. The second group of arrows are the arrows of slaying. They are creature type specific, and they'll do double damage to those creatures. So an arrow of slaying undead will do double damage to undead, and arrows of slaying beasts will do double damage to beasts. And knowing what type of creature you're fighting in BG3 is easy. You can use the examine feature, and it will tell you what you need to know. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, I don't have a dedicated archer in my party. What do I need these arrows for? Well, I would reply that you might actually need those arrows even more. Imagine you're playing a heavy armor-wearing, great sword-wielding fighter with a crap dexterity. You have extra attack feature, and run up to some unsuspecting goblin and split him in twain. But wait, you still have another attack. Darn, the next goblin is too far away for you to get to. But fear not, because you have a longbow. But your dex isn't very good, so even if you hit, you're not going to do a whole lot of damage. That is where these arrows can come in handy. They can add a little more damage that you desperately need, or some other added effect like lowering their AC with acid to make them easier to hit on future rounds. Or even better, instead of shooting at them and risking a miss, just aim an ice arrow at the water that they're standing in, turning it into ice and causing them to slip. Or shoot a fire arrow at that barrel of oil they're standing next to and just blow them up. And remember that switching between weapons costs you no action in this game. You can make an attack with a melee weapon and then switch to your bow and then back to your sword with no penalty. You can find these arrows as treasure or with vendors, and I suggest you buy them wherever and whenever you find them. The only real downside to these arrows is you forgetting to use them. Yep, never did that. Number 5, don't ignore the Alchemy System. I know crafting isn't the most fun thing for some people, but worry not. The Alchemy System in BG3 is very simple and intuitive. It generally involves crafting 3 units of something down into some other substrate, like a supplement or an ashes or something like that. And then once you have that and some other crafting material, you'll be alerted under the potion section or the coding section or whatever that something is available to make. Just click on it, select that potion coating elixir or whatever, and make it, and there you go. You can find recipes in books, but when you find new crafting components, it usually alerts you to what they're used for. So, very simple. Remember, potions and the like, unlike in D&D, only take a bonus action to use. So, here are a couple of standouts. A potion of speed hastes the drinker, giving them +2 to AC, dex saves, extra movement, and an extra action. And unlike in D&D, you can use that action for anything. Casting spells to making extra weapon attacks. Hasting the right character can have them ending encounters all on their own. All you need is like 3 hyena ears, reduced down to an ash, and any salt. And as soon as you reduce the ears, it will tell you what it's for. So it's not hard to figure out. Elixirs of Arcane Cultivation might be a mouthful, but it's what every caster wants. It gives you an extra first level spell slot with greater variance giving you higher level spell slots. To be clear, it doesn't refill a spell slot that's already used. It just gives you an extra one. So you can drink it while you're all nice and fresh before battle and just walk in all juiced up. It lasts until you take a long rest, so it's great when you think you might be heading towards a hard fight. All you need is 3 Weaver Moss and a supplement and you're good to go. And the last thing you want to have plenty of are healing potions. Several varieties that do greater and greater healing as the rarities go up, but whatever the type, make sure to keep a good supply. Buy them when you can, craft them when you must, if you have the supplies. It might be tempting to hoard all the good stuff in your main character, but I highly suggest that you resist this urge. It's a real pain when your main beatstick, like Karlach, only has 5 hit points left, and you realize you forgot to give her her fair share of healing potions. That goes for all your supplies. Make sure everyone has their fair share of healing potions, ammo, poison, scrolls. Anyone can use a scroll in this game, by the way. And one last piece of advice. If you hold down on the left Alt key, collectible things in the environment will just light up. That's how you'll find most of the crafting material. So, those are 5 tips to get started in Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe we'll do a more advanced tip video for the later game. But if you want that, you'll have to subscribe, ring the bell, smash that like button, leave your best tips about Baldur's Gate 3 in the comments below, and I'll see you in the parlor.